everybody, it is Melanie Mitro and Katy Ersta, and we are the hosts of the Make Chic Happen podcast.
And this podcast is for you, friend. We're going to dive into the skills, mindset, and systems you need to build a successful social media presence, and it supports your business goals.
All right, and I am Melanie Mitro, one of the co-hosts, and I have left my full-time career in early intervention to be a stay-at-home mom, and I'm seriously craving something more.
All right, and I'm Katy. I am a stage 4 cancer survivor. I absolutely love all things storytelling, and I was a teacher who truly just wanted to get the groceries paid for. Never in a million years did I see what would happen with this business.
Oh my gosh, and here we are, 10 years later, and we have built multi-million-dollar businesses from our laptop, from our kitchen tables, basically anywhere that you have Wi-Fi. And the cool part is now we get to teach other people how to do the same.
So just 2 female entrepreneurs who are wives, moms, and we're also besties who want to take you on the journey right alongside us to help you build a business that you love and a life that you desire.
All right, so come on in, check out today's episode.
Well, hey everyone, it is Katy and Melanie with another episode of the Make Chic Happen podcast. And I feel like throughout the month of March, we're spending a lot of time talking to our fellow friends who are involved with direct sales or thinking about network marketing or maybe use it as side income.
Yeah.
And the reason we wanted to spend some time on this is actually because we have a little bit of experience with growing our direct sales businesses pretty large.
We do, yeah.
And we get a lot of questions about the model. And so we thought today we would go back in Once Upon a Time and talk about a couple of the things we did really wrong when we started in direct sales, but also a couple of the things we did right, even if we didn't know we were doing them right, that we hope throughout this episode, people will look at and go, okay, I can do that. I can build like that, or just use these pieces of advice in their own business. So before we dive in, for anyone who's listening who may not be familiar with what direct sales is, I know that neither one of us did know. We were involved with the business, but we actually had to Google what network marketing was and what the model was. It is a business that is built on relationship. And there's really 2 ways to build a direct sales business. And that is through building a team and mentoring your team and guiding them to duplicate what you yourself are doing. And the other part of direct sales is through commissions of the product that you endorse, that you offer. And so when we get into direct sales, the first piece of advice I had for anyone who is getting involved is to actually like and really value the product that you are getting ready to endorse. Because you're going to be spending a lot of time talking about it. You're going to have to show people the proof that the product is effective. You're going to want to show people how to actually use the product. So you want to be familiar with what the product is. So no matter what type of direct sales business you are a part of, I really want you to know that there's 2 ways that you can earn income, and that no matter what you're going to do, you really want to love the product that you are a part of.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that was the start for both of us. It truly was a love for the products. And I remember, at the beginning, just as I and Beachbody is the company we both have been a part of, is I had gotten amazing results, but I fell in love with like a part of the Beachbody process, and it was nutrition for me. I back in the day when remember like Blogger and Blogspot was like a big thing. I blogged 4 or 5 days a week, and it was recipes. And if you would sit down and say, Melanie, will you help me create a meal plan? Will you take me? I was like, absolutely, right? I love to educate people on ingredients and pairing foods together, and that you can eat a lot of food and still get results, right? Health and wellness results. And so that was really why I started. And I loved the programs. I loved working out from home. I was not an in the gym person. So before you ever think about going into a specific company, you have to say to yourself, do I love the products or a part of the product, right? A part of what the company does. And then can you really get behind it? Can you really get out there and talk to people about it? Because at the end of the day, direct sales, network marketing, whichever one you call it, it's a relationship business. And it's one where, and if you look at sort of our world today, and it's very much like the influencer world, what are these influencers doing? Good influencers marketers talk about products that they use
Yes.
and they promote them. They talk about how they use them, and then they share their link and their code. That's exactly what you're doing when you're in direct sales, is you're repping what you love because you've had a great experience with it.
Yeah.
It's not slinging shakes or what else, pushing product.
Right.
It's not like buy this and I've never used it before. It is very much a labor. It's a labor of love. And sometimes I think network marketing gets a bad rap if it is somebody that's just the shake slinger or I just want to sign 1 million people up to sign them up and I don't really care what you do.
Or they're jumping from company to company. We all have that serial like network marketer that we know.
Yeah, and then you're like, I see them coming.
Yeah.
So, and today we're really like, okay, what are the things now that we're 10 years removed that we wish people would have kind of told us when we started? Because we sort of did it backwards, right? But so that's kind of what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
Is those things. Yeah.
And even if people would have told us, I wish I would have actually listened and implemented the things that they had shared.
Yeah.
So the first thing that I know that I would recommend to anyone in network marketing, if you are serious about wanting to build a team, is to ask the person you are actually afraid to ask. And I always share this story. It has a happy ending, but in my case, there was a girl that I went to high school with. And we were never really friends. And in fact, I never really thought she was that nice. I was a little bit intimidated by her. She was super popular, and I was not that kid in high school at all. And I remember one time I was posting on Facebook about my workouts, and my posts were not anything to brag about. But I remember posting a workout picture, and it had this great neon font with it. I'm sure I had a link up with it. And I got a private message from this girl I went to high school with that I didn't really know or really think. And she said, "What is it that you're doing?"
Okay.
And I read it, and her tone was very and I read it as ooh, she's questioning it. She doesn't like it. And I immediately went into, I'm just going to ignore this message. And I did.
Okay.
For a couple of days, I ignored the message.
Okay.
And she sent me another message. And she goes, "Is that program?" And she named the program, which at that time was Insanity. And I was like, "Okay, Katy, you're just going to talk about it." And so I said, "Yes, I'm actually doing Insanity. I am a coach." And she asked what a coach was. And this whole time, I thought she was getting ready to make fun of me. I really thought she was getting ready to make fun of me. And then I realized that if I didn't ask her if she was interested, that maybe I would be missing an opportunity. And so the first piece of advice that I would give to anyone is ask the person you don't think would want to be a part of it, or ask the person that you're afraid to ask, or ask the person that you really think would say no, because you are going to be a lot better off asking and getting a no than wondering if, or even seeing them in another organization because you were too scared to ask.
Sure.
And in my case, we did start talking, and she ended up joining my organization. She has been with my organization for, I think, 10 years now. She has been for a long time, has had incredible success within the business. But more importantly, her life has been transformed and changed tremendously. And I've been a part of seeing her evolve as like a human and just change and grow as well. And it's been really cool to see our friendship really evolve over this past 10 years. So my first piece of advice would always be to ask the person you don't want to ask.
Yeah. And ask them like now. Give it a good old Mel Robbins 5-second roll and just send the message.
Good.
And what's the worst thing that can happen?
They say no, or they ghost you.
Yeah.
Which happens too.
Sure.
Yeah.
But you're still standing. You're good. You just move on to the next. At least you can confidently say, I put it out there, planted that seed.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So for me, when I look back and I'm like, okay, what are the things that I would tell myself right before, as I was getting started, is I made the mistake early on of thinking that I had to work 24/7 in order to be successful. Like for sure. And I did work 24/7 to be thinking that that's what I needed to do to be successful. And if you followed my journey, that clearly didn't work in my favor, right? But there are a lot of things that about 6 months in, so I started off with like guns a-blazing, and Katy one day was actually helping me write a presentation. And I remember we were standing at my kitchen, like the island. Do you remember this?
Sure
and we were standing at the end, and I was stressing. We were like rewriting the whole thing because I hated it. And she was like, "You were a wrecking ball." She was like, "You were a human wrecking ball." And I was like, Yeah, and you were like, in a nice way. And I was like, but you're right. I was a wrecking ball in the sense that I just like did this to everything. My relationships, it was like back burner, laundry, back burner, cooking meals, back burner, kids, back burner, everything. Just working all the time, never putting my phone down, never setting healthy boundaries. And it's because I wanted to succeed so bad. But it was very much like, listen, Melanie, you can actually set some healthy boundaries. You can actually set work hours. You don't have to try to do it all in 6 months.
Yeah.
That success is going to take time.
Yep.
And it does. So there is that feeling of I need to do it all and I need to do it all right now. But what I would say is, be smart about it. One thing that I learned was I got to set some office hours. So I had to set time where I was not going to work, where the phone was going to go in a drawer and it was going to be shut, right? I had to set time where it was just for Matt and I to go on a date. But I also had to set working hours. Like, these are going to be my dedicated working hours to get the job done. Another thing is I had to make sure that I was working from a list, because what part of the 24/7 issue was, I was like, what do I do? And I would scroll.
Do a little of this?
A little bit of that. And then you just always feel like nothing is kind of coming together. So I always made sure I worked from a list. Before I ever sat down and opened up the computer screen or unlocked my phone, I would say, what am I going in to do?
Yeah.
What are the tasks? And then I would work from a clock, right? A countdown clock or a timer. And I would say, I'm only giving myself this much time to send these messages. And then that forced me to be very efficient and fast at what I did and to not overthink it, because I knew that I only had this much time and then I needed to move on to the next task. So I learned to use my time wisely because of that. And then, working 24/7, sometimes we get distracted by shiny objects, right? When it comes to that. So I might be in the mix of writing a great post and sending these follow-ups and doing some new invites, which are all income producing activities that you'll find on the Make Chic Happen planner. But sometimes it would be shiny object. Ooh, I see somebody over there and they made this really beautiful PDF freemium. And then I go into Canva land and spend 4 hours making a freemium. And that was a shiny object. That really wasn't going to increase my bottom line right at this exact moment. And so you have to be aware that you're not getting distracted by shiny objects, or, because that can be something that can cause you to do work that really isn't increasing the bottom line right in this exact moment.
Yeah.
So I want people to know you can put your phone down, you can actually enjoy time with your family, and you can have a thriving business.
Yeah.
But when you show up to work, you got to work, right?
Yeah.
It can't be, I'm just going to fart around on social media,
right?
I'm going to go there. Like, we got to really be intentional about it. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. What else?
I also think too, everything that you just said is, when you do work your 24/7, you start to build resentment towards the business, or the people around you start to build resentment towards you for putting the business first. So I want to make you kind of aware of that part of it, the emotional side of that as well, not just the physical and your wellness, but like the actual emotional side of it too.
It is. And you really do. When you are never turning it off, you actually aren't creative at a certain point. You actually kind of go, there is nothing left in my brain. And when you try to force yourself to sit there, it's not your best work either. Right. So just give yourself a break. It's going to be better for business in the end.
All right. So let's talk about the third thing that I wish I would have done at the beginning that I didn't, that it took me a long time to do. And this is a really important one as well, because I think that when you're starting off in direct sales, the goal is to make usually some side income. Usually most people go into it and they're looking to create more income for their family, support any other income that is coming in. And so when I started, everything that came in, I was like, yes.
Yeah.
But what I started to understand was investing back into my business had a return too. Okay. And it took me a couple of years to actually realize that there are investments that would have saved me time and energy, especially when it comes to the learning curve, that I didn't really take into consideration. Okay. And so the piece of advice I would give for direct sales, anyone in direct sales, is to think about the investments in your business that you can make that are actually going to save you money in the long haul or make you more money in the long haul. And so I think it was about 2-3 years in that I invested in my first course, which was, I think, on confidence was the first one that I did. And it paid off. And I started posting differently, and I started sharing differently, and I started to see my income grow.
Yeah.
And then I started to invest in summits, and I started to invest in leadership retreats, and I started to invest in my team, and I started to invest in myself. And that really helped me. But I think early on, one of the very first investments I would have made is investing in a mentor who was a step ahead of me.
Yeah.
Investing in a mentor who had done what I wanted to do. And for you and I, like, there was no like real guide.
No,
we were
there
really
wasn't.
spending a lot of time creating systems and figuring out duplication, and then also figuring out the products and the services.
Yeah.
So I would say that if you know someone who is one step ahead of you, or who is saying to you, look, I can help you scale your business, I can help you grow your business, look into it and ask yourself, what would the return on that investment be?
For sure.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm just going to like plug our mentorship because it's open for enrollment right now, right? So the 30 days direct sales done right. I'm going to plug it here because I think it's a good time to kind of talk about it. We actually created a mentorship, and it's for you, those of you that are sitting here right now going, I need to invest. I don't know who to invest in. You know, I'm really serious about building my direct sales business, but I want a roadmap. I want a guide. I want to be able to cut that learning curve in half. And I want somebody to walk me through how to create the solid foundation for future success. That's an investment.
Yeah.
Right? And everybody that's gone through that mentorship, that's implemented what we've taught, has seen exponential growth in their income, in their following, in their confidence. Yeah. So there you go. Like, there's a great investment that you can do right now by two people that have been there, have walked the walk, and have talked the talk.
And I do think my rule of thumb has been about 10%, always goes back to my business. And when I started, that 10% was like, I don't know if I'm quite there yet, but I knew eventually it would pay off.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So then on the flippity flip, let's actually talk about the 3 things that we did right. So what are 3 things from the beginning that you would say, you have got to do this because I know that this had a big payoff?
Okay. All right. So I will say number 1 is I started posting, I started inviting, I started doing follow-ups, I started running free groups on Facebook well before I ever felt confident or ready. I didn't have all the answers. I mean, we talk all the time about how our social media posts were not that good, right? Our writing has come a really long way in the past 10 years, but it's because we were willing to take imperfect action instead of perfect inaction. Because when you overthink and you redo posts and you redo invites and you like analyze everything, you're not doing the work, right? And so I've found that all the learning has happened when I've rolled up my sleeves and I've just gotten to work on things, right? So I would definitely say you got to get to work and you got to get started, and you just have to take action long before you're ready, and you truly will figure it out. I don't know if you guys can hear this in the background right now. I'm just going to like pause, but we have a mascot when we do our recordings, and the mascot is Millie. And she's over here in the left corner trying to rip apart her dog bed.
I know. It's been fun to try to be focused here.
I know.
And see
I know. So I don't know if you can hear her, but that's what's going on in the background right now.
Well, let's talk about tip number 2.
Okay.
As we continue on with the podcast.
Okay.
So there's one thing that I know I did right from the very beginning is I learned how to really be in love with the process of growing the business, not just the final product. Sometimes we get so focused on where we want to end or what the end goal is. I know a lot of times business owners set these big intentional goals at the beginning of January, and then by like March, they're like, I don't even know where my vision board is. We see it every single year.
Yeah.
But one thing that I started to realize is if I could get so focused on really enjoying the process of growing a business, it made it more fun. It made it more exciting. It made me really enjoy what I was doing. And so for me, I know that I celebrate small wins. So when I look at my income producing activity tracker, I celebrate the fact that I sent the invitation. I celebrate the fact that I put out the post. I celebrate the fact that I was able to get a no even in my follow-up, because I know that that's going to be another one that I can add to the list for the next month. And so by falling in love with the process of building a business, it made the hard times a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Because there's no way that you're going to build a network marketing business and not see hard times. There's just no way.
For sure.
With that being said, it is pretty simple to build
Mm-hmm.
a network marketing business, but it is hard. And there's a lot of heart that goes into actually doing the work. But when you really appreciate the small wins, when you really appreciate the process of who you're becoming and the business that you are building, I find that brings a lot of joy to what you're doing.
Gosh, it is, because if you don't enjoy the process, you're not
going to appreciate the product.
No, you are not. You're not going to be excited when you got there. And if you wake up every day and you're like, I don't want to do the invites today, then are you really building a business that you love? Because even when you leave your full-time job, you're not going to want to sit down and do the work. So you know it's going to be counterproductive. Okay, so the third one, right? Things that I did right is from day one, hit submit on that sign up. I was like, this is my business. This, I treated it. And somebody told me this early on. They're like, treat it as if you have invested your life savings, your retirement in this, like $500,000, and you have to make it successful. It has to work. And so that is exactly how I approached it. So, you know, I got myself a 3-ring binder, and I got tab dividers, and I had my training in there, and I had my invite list, and I had my follow-ups, and I had my schedule and all the important contacts. You know, I set myself up for success in terms of making sure I had the right setup, carving out time, right? What do I need to learn? What skill sets do I need to invest in? So for me, it was, I had to learn the skill of inviting. I had to learn the skill of posting on social. I had to learn how to have good customer service. And so I took that learning seriously. I was working the business, but then I was also carving out time to actually learn the skill part of it, to become proficient in that. And so I found a way, even in the midst of crazy mom life, I found these pockets of time to treat my business like a business. I never went into it saying, this is a hobby, and if I find the time, I'll build it. I was like, no, I'm going to make this money. I'm going to figure it out, and it's going to be messy, but this is my business, right?
And no matter how big you want to build the business, I think that's important. So even though for me, it was getting the groceries paid for, I still treated it like a business.
You did, yeah. And you know what? There's never going to be a perfect time. So I hear a lot of people that are like, oh, I'll start my business when the kids are in school, or I'll start my business once we get past, you know, I don't know, hockey season, right? And so there's never, because then you have tryouts, and then you have off-season training, and then, I don't know, something else happens that you have to put your time and energy in. And I think about, if I would have waited until Landon and Brace went to preschool, that would have been 2 years of all that. I mean, I was already making decent income at that 2-year mark, all of that time. And you know what? When they went to preschool, I didn't have any more time.
No.
It still was an issue. So you just have to say, I'm going to do it in this season that I'm in, no matter what.
I think you always say it too, like imperfect action is better than perfect in action.
Yes.
And it's so 100%. True when it comes to your business as well.
Okay.
All right, you guys. So Melanie and I have covered, we've gone down memory lane a little bit with some of the things that we learned, some of the lessons, like the hard lessons we learned along the way too.
Yeah.
But the whole purpose of this podcast today is for you to realize that as two professionals who have built incredibly successful businesses, we also want you to say to yourself, all right, is there something that I can learn from Melanie and Katy? And we want to give you an exclusive invitation to join us for the 4-week program we've designed for people in network marketing. And the Direct Sales Done Right Mentorship is really designed for people from just the start of your business of like, what is the action that I need to take, to what are my priorities, to how do I actually post well on social media to convert people from people who are interested maybe in what I'm doing to actually start conversations with them and get them excited about the opportunity to join you as well. And so it is an investment. But if you are serious about wanting to grow your direct sales business and you're serious about wanting a return on your investment, we couldn't more highly recommend this.
Yeah, and it's broken into 4 different weeks. So each week there's a different topic. The first week we are going to be talking about, okay, what goals should you be setting for your direct sales business? How do you make sure that you have a strong why? How are you actually setting up your business? What is the mindset? We talk a lot about your mindset mindset and your morning routine.
Yeah.
And we talk a lot about the actions. We actually go through the income producing activity tracker. In week 2, we talk about social media for network marketing. How should you be posting for social in order to create engagement, to create conversation? How do you go out and find new followers? We talk about even recruitment for your network marketing business in the second week. In the third week, we're going to talk about managing your time. We're going to take a really, really deep dive into what we call time blocking and just being highly productive. And then in the fourth week, we talk about a concept called creating a healthy pipeline, which we truly believe is how you create consistent momentum in your business so that you're not starting and stopping this cold engine, but you imagine how cool, what would it be like if you could have an abundance of people that are asking you about your product, service, or business every day? What if people were coming to you because of the work that you did? That's what we're going to teach you in that week 4 is how to like turn on that faucet, right? To really get the people coming, get those leads coming in the door.
Yeah.
So that you get a workbook, we get weekly calls, we have some guest speakers, you've got daily check-ins. It's very action-based. And we're saving you a spot. We hope to see you guys into that.
Yeah. And you can, of course, check out more information at the show notes below.
Yep.
There is a limited time that you can actually join this. So make sure you click the link, learn more, and we'll see you next time on the Make Chic Happen podcast.
All right. So if you loved today's episode, make sure you head over to wherever you listened to the episode today and leave us a rating and review. And also take a little screenshot and tag us on Chic Influencer. We'll feature you in our stories. Plus, we'd love to get your feedback and hear from our listeners.
Yep. Until next week, let's make chic happen.